Welcome to It's Show Business. Today we have comedian Danish Maqbool on the podcast. Super funny guy, ex-gamer, was recently in the show Ramy on Hulu, which you should definitely check out if you haven't already. And please subscribe to the pod. Thank you for listening and enjoy this episode. Danish Maqbool, thanks for doing the podcast.
Yo, thank you for having me, bro.
I like that it looks like I caught you at work in your cubicle.
Yeah. This is basically my office, bro.
It's very cubicle-like ceiling. Like if you had a job, which I don't know, you might have a job, but like that's like the job ceiling.
No, yeah, I don't have a job. So this is like I need to have some sort of thing that makes it feel like a job, you know?
Yeah. You have
this is it.
You have very straight teeth. Since I have Invisalign right now, I'm obsessed with people's teeth, and like your teeth
Nice.
your parents must have done braces, or are you just born naturally gifted?
Well, my dad refused for me to get braces because I have a little setback, but he's like, no, it weakens your teeth. I won't allow it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then it just worked out. So I got lucky, actually. It should have been much worse, it sounds like.
Yeah, he's like that's the best. He's like a dentist philosopher. He just says no. Bad.
That's funny.
Yeah, I had like this, the teeth so they had to do it for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all I can do is look at people's teeth, and then like I have all these friends now that I look at I'm like, I didn't know you had, like, you're not tuned with it. I'm like, wow, you have jacked up teeth, and I never noticed.
Yeah. Oh, you see it the other way too?
I'm seeing it. I'm
no.
like, oh shit. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. I'm just like,
yeah, bro.
Staring at everyone's
Teeth
mouth.
is a real thing. It's height and teeth for women.
Right. And so you got both.
Which is crazy because, I mean, that's why I got my woman at 14. You know?
Right.
That's like...
Wait, 14?
Yeah, I've known her since I was like 14. We didn't date till I was like 25.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've known her since I was 14, yeah.
That's a real Vanessa Williams save the best for last. Like... You really did you know when you were 14? You're like, yeah,
I did.
That's amazing.
I told her I loved her at 14.
Really?
And she's like, I have mad love for you too. That's what she said.
Is she a rapper? Did she say mad love?
She said mad love at 14.
Wow.
She's not a rapper.
Right.
Yeah.
Which made you like her even more, because she's like, oh, you're like, mad love. I should have used that line. Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're part of like a loose group of like brown-ish friends, let's call it, and you are by far the tallest. Like, we're all about the same height, and then you're just like, boom.
Yeah, I am the tallest of the group. There's another guy from New York, Tushar. Do you know Tushar Singh?
I don't know Tushar, no.
Yeah, he's like he's 6'4".
Yeah.
So he's got that. Yeah, but me and him, that's it.
Every time the group wants to do something, you guys bring up basketball, and everyone else is like, nah, we're good.
Yeah. Although Paul beat me one-on-one. And like, Paul's pretty good, yeah.
He's an athletic dude. Like, he's in shape.
I mean, he got lucky, but yes, he did beat me one-on-one. I'll put that out.
Yeah, was it like because he has a good long shot? Is he going around you?
That's what. Yeah, he just kept shooting the three, and I was letting it go.
Okay.
And then before I knew it was 10-1, and then I had to climb back 11-8. But I lost.
10-1.
Yeah, he made 5 in a row, bro. I was like, what the hell? It's 10-1 already.
Yeah.
And then so I had to like back him down and make it a game, but he won.
He delivered. And
yeah, he delivered.
We ran into each other recently at his show, which was the hopefully it comes back, Low-Key Outside, the show in the pickup truck. So
yeah,
super
that
fun.
show was amazing.
Yeah,
and then your show was dope too, man. In the tennis court.
Yeah, the tennis court show was also fun. I'm glad you got to do it. Basically, do it, then get on the plane to New York. So that was glad it all worked out.
That was cool. That was a vibe.
Yeah, and
sure.
How do you guys know each other? Like you and Paul?
Paul and we met each other through Uzzer. You know Uzzer? Usman? Uzzer he's a writer now for Mo's new show, and he's actually in the new Miss Marvel. He got a little bit part.
Oh, dope.
Which is sick.
Yeah.
So he's been around. He used to tour with Mo on this thing they called Allah Made Me Funny.
Okay.
So then I got to know Azhar because Akash introduced me.
Yeah.
Because he's like, oh, you two are Muslim, y'all will get along. So then me and Azhar, we did become really close.
Yeah.
And then we started touring together, and Paul is his boy.
Oh, okay.
So then I met Paul like that, and then me and Paul became really close too.
Yeah.
So
it's hard not to be friends with Paul. He's just so outgoing and.
Oh, he's so cool, dude. Yeah, he's so cool, and he's a real one. Like once you like really get to know him, and you're on, there's a different vibe when you're in each other's like inner circles.
Totally.
And so there's like checking each other and keeping it honest and real. Paul's really good at that.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
I like that. That's good that your boys on Marvelous Miss Maisel, because I didn't know they had brown guys in the 50s. Like
no, Miss Marvel.
Oh, Miss Marvel. Oh, Miss Marvel.
This is not out yet. Yeah, Miss Marvel's out. It's a straight Pakistani. It's a Pakistani woman from New Jersey is Miss Marvel.
Oh yeah, because that was in the video game. Kamala Khan.
Yeah, so they found Kamala Khan, and then they got a bunch of brown people around her too. So that's how Azhar got cast.
Yeah.
And so he would never be in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, what storyline are they going in season 4?
Yeah, what would he be, the first man from India in America?
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah,
that would have to wait till 68 anyway. 40s and 50s. Yeah, none of us were here.
Yeah. It's that is a good like video game. I don't know if you played it, the Avengers one with Kamala Khan, a good storyline, and like there's the Pakistani dad and has like a big thing. They really like gave a really solid brown storyline through it.
Well, yeah, I didn't play the game. I heard the game was dope, and I'm a big gamer. I just missed that because it came out when a lot of other shit came out. But yeah, bro, they're going hard on her, which is surprising that this is the storyline they chose, because it's like Pakistan is not of great notoriety. It's not India, it's not China. It's just a country with mad people, that doesn't have electricity half the day. That's what Pakistan. So it is a good country to pick because there's mad people and it has some turmoil too. So I was surprised, but I'm hyped. Yeah.
Maybe it's like good for intra-country relationships too, like I wonder like how much of it is like include this storyline to like soften relationships. Like you never know like how deep it can go.
Yeah, well, I mean, you take it right to your example. Marvel did it with Captain America. That was what that was during World War II. They had Captain America, and then the evil guy was this red-faced guy from Germany or whatever. So they already did that, So yeah, of course, this is what they keep doing. That's when it's most effective, when they hit that mark, right?
Yeah.
Of it being culturally something and also just being dope on its own.
Yeah, it's like kind of soft warfare in a way to be like promoting American values through media.
Yeah, now they're going to do it through a teenage Pakistani girl, so they're going to be able to say a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I thought Ramy did like one of the best shows of the last like 2 years. Like both seasons were great. Yeah. And just touching on like that storyline that like I think we can all relate to. Like I related to, and I'm like a half brown, but like those parents and like the scenes, like everything was just so real, but not like stereotypical. Like just real stories about like Muslims and brown people in America.
Yeah, I mean, Ramy opened up the door. He because now people will be more accepting of Muslim stories.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do because of the type of show that Ramy made.
Right.
And other people have tried to make stuff before, and Ramy somehow made something that wasn't exploitative, but also was accepting to everybody. And which is like, man, what a tightrope he walked.
Such a tightrope, exactly, yeah.
And so that's the genius. That's where my respect for him comes, and it's a deep respect, So yeah, I'm really, really grateful that he made that show to give other people opportunities to make the show that they want. You
Right.
know.
Yeah, because if like
No.
there's a certain responsibility because there's so few shows with that
Mm-hmm.
narrative and with that kind of representation that like if you go out there and you fuck it up, so to speak, it kind of ruins it for a lot of other people.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he could have set shit back like a long time, and instead he got mad projects rolling, and now he's got, they're working on a show for Mo, and that's
Yeah,
coming out on Netflix, and it's like that wouldn't have happened if Rami show was not successful,
yeah, yeah,
right? And it's not saying Mo's not a super talent and couldn't get a show himself. It just like Rami opened the doors so that Mo could get his shit off, you
yeah.
know?
And it could have been successful in kind of like what you said, like an exploitative way. So it could have still been
Yeah.
successful doing like the stereotypical lane. And I'm just so glad
Yes.
that it wasn't. And then it was, he kind of like, you could feel it was like a vehicle for his real feelings, which was awesome.
Yeah, that's a tricky line, right? That exploitative and then just making it for you. And because you want it to come back for a second season. So you're like,
Yeah,
yo, I'll
yeah.
put in shit that other people like. And for you to stick to your guns and not do that,
Yeah,
you know?
totally. And you were in Rami. You had a part in there in the last season.
Oh yeah, I had a small little line,
Yeah,
So yeah, that was cool as shit. Bro, that was so cool because I went to the set to just because Rami was like, "Yo, come by the set," because I
yeah,
had just opened for him at a college. Uzzer like set it up,
yeah, yeah,
so then I went open. We had a good time. He's like, "Yo, come by the set," and I went by just to check it out. And he's like, "Yo, what are you doing? I hit you in your email today." And I checked my email. I was like, an email from Rami. It was like, "Oh, you available tomorrow to audition?" And then I just went and auditioned. And then 3 days later, I was on set.
Oh, that's
And it was
amazing.
like, yeah, it was cool. It was my first audition, like in Hollywood. And it was like, all right, this shit is easy. That's how it felt. I was like, you
Right,
can't
yeah.
just, yeah.
There's a certain
It
element
was,
of acting is easy for stand-ups. You're like, oh, you just have to say, I like you're giving me the lines too. Like you're just like, and you just say them. Like,
yeah, well, all right. So auditioning, I think, is easy. The when I got on set and there was like 4 cameras on
yeah,
me from different angles, bro, I was more nervous than the first time I did stand up. Like I was really nervous. I had 3 lines, 2 of them got cut. I'm not surprised. Okay, so
that's not
like,
necessarily you.
but yeah, no, I know, but I was like, man, I was definitely nervous. So it was a cool learning experience, that for sure.
Was that like, did you have any acting training, like any acting classes?
Just from Paul, because Paul's like a really good actor.
Yeah,
So even since like I've had a few auditions and I'll just like have Paul help me out. He's like a homie, so like he'll help me out for sure. And even with my other auditions, bro, like I got them in a way better place. I got like really positive feedback. I almost got like some Netflix show because of Paul. Like
yeah, yeah,
he's such a dope acting coach
yeah,
that I'm like, oh, you're a glitch in the matrix, as Uzzer likes to say. So it's like you could really, yeah, he could make someone who doesn't know how to act do a good audition.
yeah.
You know?
He does do coaching, and I did take a few acting classes, and it does help. Like at the end of it, you can either stay in the classes forever, which is kind of partially their goal, or you leave the classes that you're like, all right, I know the foundations, I know like the basics, but then when it comes time to actually auditioning, like you gotta have someone read it through with you who knows what they're doing and can kind of push you and like you said, be honest with you and be like, I wasn't really, that wasn't really authentic. Like, what do you mean on each line? And kind of like go through it. Um,
Yeah.
I took the Leslie Kahn class, and it's a lot of like actors' thoughts. Like, what's your thought on this line? And you kind of go through them and make sure you're actually thinking something when you're saying the lines, because it comes through. And having
Yeah,
that
yeah, your
person who knows,
intention.
your intention, exactly. And so like having that person with you to rehearse is so important.
Yeah, I mean, I love his intensity.
Yeah.
You know, there's a certain intensity that he brings that it's like, oh, you're not fucking around right now. So,
Yeah, yeah.
like, yeah, get in line. This is intense. This is real. This is, and I bring that sort of intensity, even though it's fun. It's a stand up. And so I understand that intensity over here. And I'm like, okay, I'm with that. So I like fire, man. I like just fucking getting
Passion.
passionate
Yeah,
about what
yeah.
you're doing. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a certain, like, I feel you can tell who's a good actor by how close they talk to you. Like the people who talk close, they're like, "Oh, you can act." Like you're
Oh,
just so
yeah.
comfortable. Like and Paul talks close. Like so, you're like, "All right, you can act. You got something here."
That's so funny.
People who are
Yeah.
too far away, you're like, "I don't know if you really have it."
Yeah, because they don't have to. Yeah, Paul can act. There's like, I think that if there was a character that was written for me, I would do a pretty good job.
Yeah.
But Paul can like do that character that I'm talking about as well, and then just himself, and then everybody. He can act.
Yeah, yeah.
So
because he was in Rami as well as the pinch prayer guy. Like
yeah,
he'd pray
even
for
just his LeBron James moment was amazing. It was amazing, bro. And I was like, bro, this is so funny, Like,
Yeah.
yeah, he's really great.
I wanted to get back to something you said earlier about gaming, like because you were a professional gamer.
Yeah, back in the day, bro, when all this started, I was like really good at Halo in 2002, 2003.
Like Halo 1?
And yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I used to play that in the studio nonstop.
yeah. So there was this kid in my neighborhood who was really good, and I was really bad, and he used to like mock me.
Yeah.
And then so I took that pretty personally, and then I made it like my life mission to get better than him. And then I just ended up becoming a professional. And yeah, I just got really good. And like, what's a professional? It's like almost calling yourself a professional comedian. There's no like stamp that comes. It's like, hey, you're a professional now,
You just do it
It's just like,
yourself.
yeah, and you start going to tournaments and you're like winning $200 a weekend locally, and you're like one of the best players in the state, and you're recognized. And then you like start going to national tournaments and you're getting like top 60 or top 10, 16, whatever it is. So I did that for years, and then I became like a commentator for this company called Major League Gaming, which they've been bought by Activision since. And yeah, it was like really cool. Like a lot of the kids that are really big gamers in America right now are like people I've known for 15 years.
Like Ninja?
And Ninja's a homie. Yeah,
Really?
I've known Ninja. Yeah, I've known Ninja since he was a kid.
Yeah.
I used to like watch him at tournaments, like because his parents wouldn't travel, so they would be like, I was like the chaperone for the weekend.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. For like all the kids. So
because you had to travel because it was there's no internet, right? You're playing like in a local network.
Well, yeah, there's that there was internet gaming, but it just wasn't, and it's still not great. It's like the person with the better connection has a severe advantage on internet gaming, right? So like when you take it to local, it's like, bro, this is the real shit. This is like, I'm playing with a 3-pound ball, you're playing with a 3-pound ball.
Right.
It's even advantage,
I didn't even
like,
think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, back in the day, it's like playing basketball, but your basketball weighs 5 pounds and their basketball weighs 3. It's
Right.
like very different game, And so this is where all the best players in the world would come together and play the games that they had, right? So it was like Halo, then they had StarCraft. So then the Koreans started
StarCraft
coming
was
over.
Great. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so you would see like the hype matches between Korea and America.
Yeah.
Man, so I'm writing a pilot about gaming right now, and this story is in it because it's true, right? This is when I knew gaming was going to be like fucking huge in America. I used to take the bus home from Major League Gaming every day, right? And that was in New York City. I'm in New Jersey. So I was the first stop, 45-minute ride. I fell asleep one night and I got off on the last stop, right? It's the last bus of the night and the last stop is Trenton. And Trenton is the hood, right? It's like pretty bad. And this was when I had like a Razor phone. So I got off, my phone's dead. I asked the bus driver, I'm like, yo, what's up, man? You have a phone? He's like, no, I don't. And you have to get off. So he like fucked me. I get off and I see these like three kids, these three young black kids, right, standing. And they're the only people at the bus station, right? And it's a pretty sketchy bus station. Like there's a homeless guy maybe. And I walk over to the kids and I'm like, yo, my phone died. Do you think I can use your phone to call my brother to pick me up? And this is like 2005, bro. The kid, he's like, yeah, no doubt. He had a Halo background on his flip phone.
Whoa.
And I was like, yo, you play Halo? And he's like, hell yeah, I play Halo. I'll fuck you up, bro. He's like, snipe. I was like, you know what MLG is? He's like, bro, snipe down my favorite player. Right? So then he knew Snipe Down is like this famous player in MLG. I'm like, bro, if you cut my phone on, I'll put Snipe Down on the phone. Right? So then he's like, I'm on the phone with my brother this whole time, talking to him and then talking to this guy about this revelation. And he's like, bet, come to my crib. Let's do this. So I'm like, yo, bye. That's why I call my brother. Yo, meet me at this guy's house. We're going to go over there. So then we walk over to this guy's house. He cuts my phone on, right? I call Snipe Down. It's a hilarious group phone call.
Yeah.
And it was like, whoa, this is huge. And then the guy's like, yo, you want to smoke some weed? We're like 20. And I'm in this guy's house. It's like very, not a great house, right? Definitely in the hood. And then we order some weed. And it's like three of us. And then when it comes time to pay for the weed, they all look at me. Right.
Yeah,
and then my brother comes and my brother's like, yo, what's up? And I'm like, yo, come in. We're going to smoke some weed. And then we all smoke and then I leave. And I'm like, bro, gaming is about to take over the world.
Yeah. Have you seen like, them since?
No, hell no. And they were so cool. It's not,
yeah.
I don't know why we didn't connect, but it was just like, man, it's just different. This feels like such a different world than the suburbs that I grew up in. And yet they're like so impacted by the same thing. This thing is about to be universal, straight up. That's how I felt, you know?
And it blew up so big, so fast. And it's interesting that like, so comedy and gaming, similar, like you got to improve on your own. It's kind of like solitary in a way. And then there's also like a lot of gamers that like, there was a big StarCraft player. I think he was Finnish or something. And then he became a big poker player because it was a similar thing. Like you're sitting in front of a screen. Yeah. So he became like one of the biggest online poker players. So like there's like an individuality to these sports of like poker, gaming, comedy that like it kind of translates in a way.
Yeah. I got heavy into poker for a while too. I was like going hard. Yeah. At one point it was like half of my income, you know, so I had to play. But then I just wasn't, I was like only average, you know. I was like, I don't want to take this any further. This doesn't seem like good returns. But yeah, I mean, it is individualistic. It's like, I don't know, man, as a minority, you've kind of come on some shit like, I don't trust nobody to handle my life but me, you know, because you just feel like it's not that people are going to intentionally screw you. You just feel like the opportunities just aren't there, you know, like they are for other people. So you're like, I just got to do something where there's no risk from anybody else. It's like, I'm the reason that it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I learned that from just working on a team in gaming, you know, at Major League Gaming. It just felt like, and a lot of times I should have got the blame, you know, for sure. I was an immature kid. Like if I was not doing things correctly, yeah, I should. But even then I was like, oh no, that's racism. You know, I was just like, so you grow as a kid and you're like, no, that wasn't racism. That was just me being lazy. But I got to get that whole idea that it could even be racism out the way. I just got to go do something by myself. So I have nobody to blame but me.
Yeah.
You know?
There's no systemic blame. It's you live and die by the sword, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. And gaming was a meritocracy for sure. Comedy feels like a meritocracy.
Big time.
You know, poker felt like a meritocracy.
Yep.
So, you know, any kind of meritocracy I'm down with, because then I'm like, you have somewhat control of your own fate.
Yeah.
You know?
That's why immigrants gravitate towards math too. Meritocracy.
Straight
There's
up.
only one right answer. There's no ambiguity for this essay, or I like the kid.
I never thought of that.
This is what, so I did, I was like a good student who didn't apply himself to be a straight A student. Like I would just kind of like,
Nice.
I was like good, but like I would do like the minimum to get like a B or an A, and either was fine. And then I went to college in the States, which is way easier than Canada, by the way. Like it's not even funny. And I was like, all right, let me do a little experiment here. So I sat in the front row of every class, and I became, with a similar brain, similar effort, a straight A student by sitting in the front row. Because you're like, I think it just impresses on the teacher. Because like everything is subjective, and you see how fast they grade stuff. And like I literally went to like a 4.0. I mean, coupled with it being easier in America, but it was very interesting to see that like, oh, like just sitting at the back and kind of half goofing off really impacts your grades, which impacts like the next school you get into, which impacts your job. Like, and what does sitting have to do with anything? Like nothing.
Yeah. Wow. That's so interesting. Yeah, there's a bit of both, right? Maybe you sat in the front and you got more attentive because you're just in the front. There's nothing to do. But then there's that other thing of, yes, a teacher did look at you differently because you're sitting in the front now. And now you got a little positive push, you know, like on the grade. They're like, but he's sitting in the front and paying attention. You know, I'm going to let this slide.
Yeah, yeah. And it's also like you're actually right, because you're not, you can't not pay attention in the front too.
Yeah. So yeah, you have to pay attention.
So that's going to be my biggest advice to my kids is like sit in the front row. Like the long-term effects of sitting in the front row will pay off like big time. And I've noticed it like at conferences, like when I had a job that required that type of stuff, like you go somewhere, if you're in the front, like you meet more people, like everything is like, everything happens in the front. And now comedy, everything happens in the back. You don't want to sit in the front as a comedian.
Back of the bus type people, bro. Like that was when I was a kid and you would go on the school bus, you always wanted to go to the back of the bus. Of
course.
Because that's where all the bad shit was happening.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, so and I was a skateboarder too. Another meritocracy.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. This is because we don't believe that we're going to get a fair shot in the system, right? Because what examples do we have to see in a system? Like, I don't see any political figure that looks like me. I don't see any sports player that looks like me. I don't see anything, you know, that looks like me. Like, I tried out for the basketball team in 9th grade. I didn't even get close to making it. And I'm 6'4", bro, and I'm pretty good at ball, right? And, okay, so there's some of those things going on there, too. The same thing that was happening in that classroom where it's like there's a teacher that's like, me going into it thinking, well, there's no brown people on the team, so I'm just going to, like, chill with my friends here and just play hard, but, you know, mostly here to chill. And then him on the other side, like, well, he's goofing off, and this is, you know, we don't really see them playing basketball anyway. So there's both. There's always both things at play, right? And so all those type of things, man, like, I've done the coolest things in the world. Like, bro, I worked at a video game company. And still there you would experience like this feeling of like, man, I'm never going to be able to be who I want to be here. It stinks, but there's a part of that is my fault, and a part of that is definitely their fault.
Yeah,
And
there's two factors at play. There's the
yeah,
internal convincing yourself something, and then there's the reality of what's happening. And there's different. It's coming together in this big ball.
yeah. It's like when you hear like comedians say like, uh, "Oh, I don't write jokes in a notebook. I write them on stage." And it's like, well, you definitely don't write them in a notebook now that you said it. Because it's
Right.
like very self-limiting that you put it out there. It's like there's no way you can overcome that now.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Like you already put it out there in the world that you can't do that, bro. So you're not going to do that.
Yeah. It's self
And so
reinforcing. Your.
yeah, and so there was a lot of limitations I would put on myself in those group environments already, and that's like already a losing equation. You know, so. It stinks, man, that we have to move like that.
Yeah.
But it just
Well,
we got to get better with that
totally.
for sure.
Well, I mean, I think we're doing the most brown thing you could possibly do right now, which is basically work on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we kind of. I love the text back and forth, like Thursday, Christmas Eve. Yeah, cool. Like, we're both like, yeah, obviously we're good with that.
yeah. Obviously, we're not doing anything. So, yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. We are doing the most brown thing ever, and this is something that I want to do. Like this is
Yeah, this is nothing else I'd rather do right now.
yeah, and so like, and this is I couldn't do this in a corporate environment. Let's do a Christmas Eve.
Yeah, yeah,
And I feel a little bit more like me in this road compared to a different road. I think I could have done a corporate job. I probably would have like really hated it, but I think I still would have
yeah.
been a version of me.
Right.
But I chose comedy because I was like, bro, this is the full version of you.
Yes.
You're going to get the full experience of who you are as an individual because you chose this path. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I similarly, like, I recognized early that that the corporate thing wasn't for me. And so I went into music. And then at some point I was like, let me go to the corporate thing. And I did that. And then I was living in New York and people told me I should do comedy and I never considered it as a thing. I just didn't understand it. I'm like, what? You're on stage? I mean, like, it's a career? Are you sure?
Yeah.
And then as comedy started getting bigger and I started meeting friends in comedy, I was like, oh, it's like a real thing and this is how it works. And then I tried it. I was like, let me write some jokes and see. And it went really well. And I'm like, all right, I can do this. Let's go. And now I feel better. Like, I feel better being out of the corporate thing again. And yeah, I'm a fuller version of myself. I was like you said, I was a version of myself there, but no matter how good the job is, you're still just like, you're kind of like a servant to someone else. And it doesn't, for me, like, I just don't feel that good about it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel much richer and it's a lot less money in my pocket.
Oh, well, a lot less.
This route. Yeah. But I feel so, like, when I look at my friends and anybody who's taken like a corporate path, I always see like they have to conform a little bit, and there's no conforming on my end, and that's really special. You can't put a price on that.
No, it's a certain amount of freedom, and it's like, it's also one of the best things you can do. Like, I mean, what's better than going on stage and telling jokes and traveling and
so much fun.
Like, I've met like a whole new group of friends since I went into comedy that are now like my best friends, and it's like it's like you I don't know, it's just a good group of people. I like the music group too, but it's just different. It's not as like open with their feelings in music. Especially I was doing more urban stuff. It's very like closed, you're closed off.
I'm sure. Yeah, that's that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe less so nowadays. I was doing like, 2000s rap.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah. I love that story of I think Seinfeld tells it, where he's like at a party and he sees like another and he sees all these stuffy people, and then he'll see like another comedian, and he'll walk up to him and just be like, "Ah, comedian," you know? And
yeah, I
it's
think that was
like,
Chris Rock on the Comedians in Cars. They talked about that.
yeah, and it's like, I love that too. Like whenever I go somewhere now and there's another comedian, I just feel so at home. You know, it's amazing. Like I feel like, oh, I can talk to this person. I might not even know them, and I'm like, yeah, but I know, you know, they're a comedian.
Yeah, so. You might not know them, but you know them.
Yeah,
there's a similar struggle.
It's really cool.
Yeah,
it's really cool, man. It just, I wouldn't trade that feeling for the world.
No, nothing.
Of being part of like this exclusive crew of just really funny people and just that really love this thing. You know,
totally
it's cool. Yeah.
Did since you still game, did you ever think about like integrating it in terms of like, and maybe you already do, like Twitch, and like also building it as part of your profile that you're like a comedian gamer, and creating like some sort of like business or revenue model around that?
Yeah, I mean, I think because I was so in gaming, you know, like when I left gaming, I had an offer for six figures almost.
Oh, wow.
It was like 90K to like start streaming from my crib, you know? Like this is basically when I left gaming is like when they were giving the deals away, like the mid 90s for comedians, right? Like that's when I left, the boom. Okay. And yeah, it was just like, I wanted to do comedy so bad. I had a clear thing happen to me, bro, where one of my like good friends, and still to this day, he's huge in gaming. I saw his level of passion, right? Like one night we were playing whack-a-mole on a Nintendo DS. It was like this thing for just like whack-a-mole, you know? And there's three of us, and these two kids ended up playing till 8 a.m. And I went to sleep at 1.
Yeah. And
I was just like, man, like, I don't have the same passion as they do for video games.
Right.
You know? And so I'm never going to reach where they're at. I'm just not. Because I can't play as long. You know? I just can't do it. So it's like, so then I needed to find something that I was like, what can I do till 8 a.m. that other people will tap out at 1? Right? And that's where it was like, bro, stand-up is the thing you wanted to do forever, you know? And so I feel like I found that where it's like you work much harder at this than you would at anything else.
Yeah.
Right? And so I want to establish myself in stand-up. I feel like, you know, starting to, for sure, you know, this is more thoughts from like 4 years ago. Now it's like, yeah, I know I've like done my thing in stand up. I'm still haven't done a TV set. I would like to get that out of the way before I decide.
Same.
Like, oh, I want to go back to, I'm sure like you've thought about, bro, you were in music, right? I'm sure you've thought about how can I merge these two worlds together? And it's like the way you can really do it, bro, if I put myself on TV, right? Doing stand up, every gamer is going to go nuts. Why? Not because I'm doing stand-up, because a gamer is doing stand-up.
Right.
And it validates them.
Yeah.
Right? That they're not losers. Yeah, they can transition and do whatever the fuck they want.
Right.
And so I need to go through the, you know, the channels that really don't matter anymore to a lot of people, but they still matter to me. You know, because we're still crossing barriers here.
Yeah,
you know? So, yeah, like I would be the first Pakistani American to do stand-up on TV. Like that would, you know, so even if it's the second or third, it's still just as important.
Right.
So,
it's still like, it's still just as rare, whether it is I have no idea whether it'd be the first, second, third, but it's somewhere of a small group who have done it.
Yeah. And so when you talk to like, I would talk to other friends like that were like, yo, who cares about a late night? And it's like, yeah, you don't, because there's been 30, 40, 50 people that look like you on late night, you know, or hundreds, you know, depending on your race, ethnicity, whatever. I've seen 2. and not, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
It's still cool too. Like it's just this old school thing that like sure, having a huge $40,000 a month Patreon podcast is better than a late night, but like having a late night is still cool. Like you're on Johnny Carson. I mean, Johnny Carson. You're on the Tonight Show. You're on these things. So like they're like that Johnny Carson used to host, or like it's still like you're one of 3 late night shows that are
cool
around.
shit.
It's still cool, and then like there's a certain legitimacy that comes with that. It's the same reason why like rappers and musicians, they all want like a deal, even if they don't take it. There's like I'm on Universal, like I'm on Warner Brothers. Like there's certain, you're like, oh, you kind of have to pay attention after that. You don't have to like it after, but you have to pay attention.
It's always people who aren't afforded those opportunities that are looking for them.
Yeah, right? And then a lot of people get the deal and then figure out it's not what they wanted and leave. And
no, it's nothing. That's what's gonna happen with the late night, bro. It's like I'm gonna angle for this late night. If it happens, then I'm gonna be like, now I could get started in gaming, right? I could go and merge these 2 worlds, and it's like, bro, you could have done this 3 years ago. You didn't need to wait for you know. It's never what it seems. Yeah, ever.
At least with the late night, they don't lock you up for 7 years and 7 albums. It's just like you do it. They probably give you a couple $100 and like you're out of there and you have this thing. And it's like there's no, with a deal, you're stuck in the deal.
Yeah, if I ever made a thing like that, I would never want to give away ownership. And I think that comes from School of Chappelle, right? And so, now these companies are going to have to pay more for ownership, for sure. I see that on East Coast Schultz.
Oh, yeah, Schultz is like, shit. I mean, Schultz and Trevor have the 2 functioning business models. It's like do it through sketches that you own and control and build an audience, or do it through a podcast and clipping, too. Like Schultz is the king of clipping. Like he basically invented it.
Yeah. And then there's the other interesting one where like Ramy's doing a different thing, right? Where it's like he's just kind of taking time to create the things and then kind of working painstakingly on them and making them products. And so for a while I was at like this point where I was like, man, what's your path? Where are you going? You know, because you got to decide where you want to go. Akash is like, come here, you know? And then I see other things that are like there, and then Ramy's like, come here. And so that's, you know, I want to do the make a TV show path and kind of, you know, I think that my comedy is, I can't do comedy every week, you know, like a lot of these guys are doing. It's very tough, you know, what they're doing. They're putting all of it on the line.
Yeah. And it's also like, you can find your own path that's either it's some sort of like cake you're baking with like a little bit of Ramy, a little bit of Akash, and like, and then like this is you, and this is the way you go. As long as you're not doing them all a little bit and not really, you know, gaining traction. It's kind of like if you want to get to a destination and you grow as a circle, if you would have taken that as a straight line, you'd be further, you know?
Yeah.
We're all when we see we have all these friends like ahead of us, so to speak, and like getting these things. It's very easy to be like, I should be doing that. No, I should be doing that. No, I should be doing that.
Yeah. Well, that circle and line shit. That's a great way to put this. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Wow.
Because I remember I met Ramy, I think for the first time at some small show, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and then just to watch him like. His path, I mean, this is me outside looking in, and it seems like he just had a focus on a thing and wasn't distracted by it. He's like, this is what I'm doing. So for me, like looking into his thing, it's like he didn't allow himself to be distracted by other things. It seemed like it was a very clear path, and I respect that.
Yeah. And now you see a lot of comedians get distracted by it. A lot of young comedians that were in Ramy's position 3-4 years ago that are now looking at what other people are doing to determine how they should move.
Yeah. I mean, right? I get distracted every day. I'm like, I see, like, should I be doing reels? Like, I started doing some Twitch streaming. Like, it's so easy to get distracted. But he also, it's like, now that I've tried those things, I'm like, all right, this one's for me, this one's not. But like, you got to give it a shot. You know, it's
Yeah,
hard to know what you should cut out if you haven't tasted the food first, I guess.
it's so, I find that stuff so interesting because, I started stand up 7 years ago. I did not. I was looking forward to this moment of making the decision, and now that it's here, I don't look forward to it. It's a tough decision which
Right.
route you should take, and but now when it's like your own life, it's big stakes decisions.
Yeah, and it's big stakes in a weird year too. It's like, what is it? What does any decision mean this year? Not.
Well, I was talking to Natalie,
Yeah,
Natalie
yeah.
Alcott, right? And yeah, and so she was saying this yesterday. She's like, I just don't trust any of my emotions for 2020.
I mean,
And
that should be a
I
viral
like
tweet.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah. I was like, bro, that's facts.
yeah,
Because I was talking to her about just like some down shit, and she's like, I just don't, you know, I just don't trust this emotion, like it just coming from places that it's just a negative place. So I was like, man, I like that. I'm not going to trust my emotions this year either.
What are some of
But
the
we'll
things?
see.
What are some of the things like you've invested in your career? So you're like, all right, like this is one thing I want to develop to kind of take myself to the next level.
Career wise, when I was starting out, I surrounded myself with, and these guys ended up becoming really close friends, but they're like these comedians from New Jersey. They were the best comedians, right? And not were they the best comedian, but they were the quickest. And I wasn't that quick. And so I wanted to surround myself with them just to become quicker, right? And that shit was the best decision I ever made because it made me a lot quicker. Like I used to move at 6 miles per hour and now I move at 16. And that's a huge difference. It's like almost 3 times the speed. And those guys are going steady at 40, and that's cool. But me going at 16 is great, you
Yeah.
know?
Iron
And
sharpens
so,
iron. You're like, yeah, you want to be around people who push you.
yeah, bro, Arnold Schwarzenegger said this thing once that I was like, bro, he's like, I always work hardest on my weaknesses. And I just make that a strength. And that's how you like pop off. And so I was like, bro, if you can make being quick your strength, then it's over because you can write a joke, right? Like the joke writing thing, that's your strength right now. But if you can make quickness your strength, bro,
You got both. You
and
got both
so
angles. Yeah.
yeah, so thinking like that years ago and then angling towards that along the way and seeing the progress, that was probably one of the best decisions I made career wise. It helped me the most on stage. Yeah.
That's a good one. What's one thing you invested in that didn't work out? You're like, I tried it, but this wasn't for me for whatever reason.
Oh, that's a good question. So everything has its place. You need to try something in order to know that it's not for you. And that's almost as equally as important as finding something, right? I would say even more important because you need to know what you don't like. That's like one of the key things. And so the group dynamic in comedy is something I kept getting caught up in, and realizing that comedy is more of a solo journey has really helped. And then, I have my friends in comedy who I would never replace. And that's not saying I don't need them. It's just saying like they're my friends in comedy. I still have to do the work for myself on my own. So I tried to approach this like it was in sync, and it's like, bro, you
Yeah.
gotta just be like one of the guys,
Right. Yeah.
Justin Timberlake or Howie, whatever the
Or
fuck.
Joey Fatone.
Yeah, yeah, Joey Fatone. Yeah. So yeah, that would be like one of the mistakes, but I'm glad I made it because I learned a lot from the group.
Yeah.
Like the thing I learned was surrounding myself by these quick guys, and now
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
like, what's one thing you shouldn't have done? I was like, oh, surrounding myself with too many people, but it's like you need both.
Right.
So
I do think though everyone should have a stint in New York, and I'm gonna give you an insane example that happened yesterday. They need it to like smarten up because I was doing the hike in Griffith Park with a friend. We're walking down, and we see this group, and it was getting dark, and these people got locked in this section of the park that they couldn't get out of, and it was an easily scalable fence too. We're talking like 6 feet high, and they're like couldn't figure it out to climb over the fence. Like, there's your first strike. And then this girl's like, all right, I'm gonna try. And I'm trying to like make sure these people don't die in this like sectioned off place of the park. And she hands me her purse through the gate and says, "Can you hold this?" And I'm like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. And then she's like, "I can't climb the fence." And I was like, "All right, I'll see you later." And I started walking off with the purse as a joke, but also just to be like, this could have happened. And I hand it back to her, but I'm like, you need to live in a city that like smartens you up. Like, you can't just hand someone your purse, which probably had her phone in it.
Insane.
She's already stuck behind a gate. Like,
so dumb.
Dumb.
Yeah. She needs to live in New York for a day. Not even for like an extended time.
She wouldn't make it. Like,
yeah, she just needs to come for a day, and she would be like, "Oh yeah, you can't leave your purse anywhere."
Yeah.
We were eating outside, and there was like a guy on meth just going insane in the middle of the road. Yeah, and the whole time we were like, "Shima, just don't." I was just like, "Don't look at him, because if you look at him, he's gonna come over here." And sure enough, somebody looked at him, and he came and he went over there, and it's like, "Oh, this person, they haven't been in this city long enough. They don't know that you can't look at this guy."
Yeah,
you know?
they need a little pamphlet. These are the rules, by the way. Just everyone, if your phone has a not 917 or 212, when you land, you should get like a text message from the city that just says, "By the way, here."
Yeah. And number 6 should be never look a meth head in the face.
Yeah.
That should be number 6 for sure.
When I lived there, I hated on the bus. I don't know why. I think unjustly. And when I was there a year ago, I was like, all right, let me try the Crosstown bus. I had been hating on the Crosstown bus because I was East Side, like East Village. And I used it to go back and forth. I'm like, this is better than the L. Like, what have I been doing this whole time?
Yeah,
like, just steady hating on the bus. I mean, there's more weirdos on the bus, but like,
it's because I think it's the same price though now, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just use the same Metro card.
Yeah,
unlimited.
I think it's the same price.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love the bus too. I learned that shit pretty early, bro. I love the bus. I used to take a nap on the bus every day. That was my shit from New York to New Jersey, bro. I love that shit. Yeah.
So this is we're going to wrap up, and we normally wrap up with our goals, and like, this is obviously the weirdest year for that, but what are some of your goals for 2021?
Well, I mean, I had a good year, man, even though it was like I got married this year. That was really big.
Congratulations.
And so, yeah, thank you, bro. So just like, getting these projects off the ground, that I got this project I'm trying to work on and write, and just trying to learn how to write for an hour a day outside of anything that I'm working on, so like being consistent, kind of, I used to be really like consistent, and then I fell off, and I would like to bring it back to a level that I never was at before. So that's where I'm kind of at. That's my goal. And so it's really internal goal, and I hope I get some external things from that, like a late night would be really great. That would be
another great
an
goal.
External goal of mine. Yeah. So, but that feels like more of an external goal that would get handled from just handling your internal shit.
Yeah.
So I'm focused on, I think, the right things right now, which is just my own work. So yeah, I'm in a good place, man. And, I like saved money and stuff. And so I like had a good pandemic compared to a lot of other people. So also just counting my blessings, that type of vibe too. But just like focused on internal goals. That's it.
That's a good one. There's a great interview with Seinfeld on Tim Ferriss's podcast.
Bro, I just listened to it yesterday.
Isn't that
bro.
good? That'll make you write every day after listening to that.
Bro, I wrote last night because of that shit, bro.
Yeah. I'm on it. I'm on every day now, an hour. I'm like, yeah,
I did the same thing. I set an alarm. I fucking put the phone to the side.
Yeah.
I said, you can't look at shit for an hour.
Yeah.
Yes. So I used to do that 3 days a week. And like, just like he did.
Yeah.
And then that Mitzi shit really ignited me. Cause he's like, then I turned up to 7 days a week. And, you know, I've been feeling like that lately where I just want to up So I needed to hear that interview last night, and it really inspired me.
It was so good. There's another one with him and David Spade, which is also good.
Nice.
On David Spade's channel.
I gotta check that one out. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, definitely check it out. I want to ask one more question before we go off, is that, because this is something I struggle with, do you think gaming is at like a non-professional level, casually, is detrimental to your other things you want to accomplish?
Yeah, I do. I think probably not up until you're 18. When you're a kid, it's actually helping you develop skills for the long run. And by now, though, this is just like, we've gotten all the skills we were going to get from gaming, right? Problem solving, just being quick on your feet, and like nowadays communication is big. So you got all the skills you were going to get. So now it's just like you're putting time in. Yeah. And yes. And then there's been different philosophy recently that I fell in. I was like, no, bro, you need to enjoy yourself. Remember that thing that Seinfeld said in that interview yesterday? He was like, yo, you need to have a reward on the other side. Right. So it's like, if you get all your work done, then why can't you enjoy yourself? That's probably creating a healthy version of you long term.
That's a good way to balance it, like game and like relax if you get your work done, but not instead of.
Yeah, I think that's the much healthier approach. And then for the most part, we probably shouldn't be playing 4 to 5 hours a day, you know?
Right. Maybe there should be another hour timer on the gamer, just to be like, all right, you can do an hour. Something
like that, you know? The way I justify, I play with my little cousins, and it's like time for all of us to hang. You know, we all play Call of Duty together, and otherwise we would not talk today if it wasn't for this. And so that's really cool.
Oh, that's
right?
A nice family way to look at it.
Yeah, it's a nice, it's like, bro, when else are you going to get family time? And so that's cool. Like, there's justifications you can make along the way. But for the most part, I think you're right in looking at it as a waste of time, which is unfortunate because I love it.
That's exactly how I feel about it. It is a waste of time, but it's unfortunate because I love it.
Yeah.
Danish Maqbool, thank you so much for doing the podcast. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, bro.
Tell us your socials. Tell us where to find you, follow you, all that stuff.
It's DMAQ1, DMAQ1 on Instagram and Twitter. I
love
appreciate
DMAQ,
you, man.
That just sounds like you're ready to bring it. Up next is DMAQ.
Yeah, that was my gamer tag back in the day. Yeah, it was like, because Danish Maqbool. So I just took the first initial, last three, you know, and made it a thing. But I appreciate you, man, for having me. It's been a vibe getting to know you. I got to know you through Dave and Canada Vibes, and we ate over here in New York, and it's been cool, man. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of love and appreciation for you, man. So thank you so much, and
yeah, I appreciate you too.
New York, bro.
I'm normally in New York right now, which is probably why I brought up New York so much. This is my time to go.
You usually take your trips, right? Like you came last year.
I'll be back once this pandem's over. And I appreciate you too. You killed on the Comedy Bunker. Super funny. And I'll talk to you soon.
All right, for sure.
Yeah.
Peace and peace.
Peace.
All right.